Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mhlengi Senembinda. I am a student at Boston Campus and Business College. In the following video, I'll be talking about good practice when making a phone call and bad practice that should be avoided when making a phone call, and also the same for when receiving a phone call. And lastly, I'll also talk about how effective convergent thinking can be, and I'll list a couple of tools of convergent thinking that can help you when problem solving. Firstly, good practice when making a phone call. When preparing to make a phone call, you should know how to use the expressions you're gonna use. You should know the purpose why you're calling. Thirdly, you should know who you are calling. The fourth point is to plan the content of the call in a logical manner. Lastly, and prepare your environment. When during the phone call, you should greet the person and use their name, identify yourself and company, engage in effective communication, like for example, ask them how they are doing, and inquire about the receiver's ability to engage in a conversation and get to the point of presenting your message in a well-planned manner and listen actively. After the phone call, a couple of outcomes should be recorded for future references if so needed. And bad practice when making a phone call should be avoided. For some examples, when making a phone call, like making a phone call outside of hours and cradling the phone between your ear and mouth, that affects your vocal quality, and mumbling and talking softly. You should speak loud and clear, and do not have a bad attitude. When receiving a phone call, inbound calls should be answered with approximately 3 to 4 rings. Good practices when receiving a phone call are not arguing with the caller, and it is important that you are prepared for the eventual of having to take the message. And the bad practices of receiving a phone call include letting the phone ring for a long time and sounding rushed and unfriendly, transferring calls to the wrong persons, and taking messages incorrectly, and getting emotional when speaking to that person. Uh, Convergence thinking can be effectively used in situations where a solution already existed. The main aim of convergence thinking is to narrow down options or solutions of the most ideal solution, whereas divergence thinking aims to create as many ideas or solutions as possible. Both of these forms of thinking can be used to complement each other when creatively trying to solve a problem. Here are a couple of tools that can be used for convergence thinking. Hits. The first one is hits. This tool is applied by using a pen or stick dots to identify options from the data or body of the knowledge that is of interest. Hits can be performed either individually or in a group. The second point is clustering. Uh, there is a similar ideas. Here are similar ideas of ideas grouped. Sorry. Can I start again? Clustering. Here, similar ideas are grouped together and connections are made, while irrelevant and or duplicated solutions are discharged. It is suggested that a clustering should have no more than 3 items. The third one is restating clustering. This is another convergent thinking that takes the clustering tool to a next level. Here, a statement is developed for each of the clustering ideas. Card sorting is the fourth one. Here, the possible solutions that are up for consideration are written on a card or a piece of paper and are numbered from the most desirable to the least desirable. And the last one is paired comparison analysis. The paired comparison analysis is used in cases where there is a range of solutions to a problem. Firstly, you will need to write down all of the available options and then assign the letter to each one. Thank you. I think that is how you should behave when